Welcome, everybody. It has been a long 2 weeks of being away from you and getting a chance to deliver to you exactly what is going on here in the Metro Atlanta housing market and answering all your questions about moving to Georgia. So, thank you for joining us tonight on the live stream. And tonight, we are going to be talking about everything that you need to know before you make a move to Georgia and kind of talk about what the second half of the year is looking like and what that means for you as someone that is going to be possibly relocating right here to Georgia. So we're going to be answering your questions today, going over some market data and kind of giving you kind of like the lay of the land of what exactly is happening right now in the real estate market. And of course, I love to hear from you and know where you are watching from and who you are. So if you're joining us on the live stream, go ahead and let me know in the comments where you are watching from. So the past 2 weeks has been a doozy, and we were at a real estate conference, learning lots of great things that we can bring back to you to help serve you better. Last week, a little bit under the weather, I guess, from traveling and a little bit of a cold or allergies, but back here with you tonight. So I'm so excited to be here. So let me know where you're watching from. I would love to know. You can put that in the chat. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat as well. So we've had the pleasure of being able to work with lots of people over the past couple of weeks from all across the country. If you're watching us from Florida and if you're in the way of the hurricane, huge heartfelt prayers out to you to make sure that everything's okay and that you and your family are safe. We work with a lot of clients that are wanting to relocate from Florida for that same reason because of the hurricanes. I can't imagine how that is to have to deal with that all the time. So I hope you're staying safe and staying dry if you are joining us or watching from Florida. So, again, if you have questions about the housing market, making a move here to Georgia, go ahead and put those in the comments. I would love to make sure that we get to those questions that you may have about making a move. So, you're joining us tonight because you want to learn about things that you need to know before moving to Georgia. And I think one of the biggest things that I get a chance to meet with clients about and work with is kind of like the beginning part of this journey, which is the price. Like, how much does it cost? What are homes selling for here in Georgia? And, for a lot of people, that is the very basis of whether or not they can or can't make this move and get what the home that they want. So I thought that would be a really good place to start and kind of update you on what is going on with home prices here in Georgia. So you've seen headlines, and I'm sure, now that we've been kind of in the thick of it with interest rates and how they have been increasing and increasing and increasing, and there's been a lot of kind of volatility with interest rates and what that's been looking like. There's this kind of big expectation last year that it was going to have a huge negative impact on the home housing market, and we were going to see home prices come down. And I knew that we had so much demand here in Georgia, especially the North Metro Atlanta area, that was not likely going to impact home prices. And for the most part, we have not really seen interest rates impact home prices the way that many experts or people were hoping it would affect home prices. So I oftentimes get a client who wants to know, or who's talking to me and saying, "Hey, we're just going to wait until home prices come down." And it's almost been a full year since we've been into increasing interest rates, and throughout this entire year, home prices have not come down. So let's dig into the data and let's look at what home prices are doing across Metro Atlanta. We've got Carl watching us from New Jersey. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have someone watching us. Hello. Nice to see you. All right. So I can't see you. I see your comment. Nice to see your comment. All right. Let's take a look at the data of what home prices are doing. So I am going to share with you home prices. That's what I'm going to share with you. So let's look at directly from the MLS system. So I'm going to take some of these towns off, and we'll add those as we go along. So when we look at sales prices, I live in Gainesville, Georgia, which I think is a fantastic, great metro of North Metro Atlanta area. And for whatever reason, the median sales price of Gainesville was $375,000. Now, let's look at what the average sales price was. Okay, so the average sales price was a little bit flatter of $463,000. Side note, and I don't know if you needed this reminder, but I deal with median sales price and average sales price all the time, and sometimes we see that the median sales price, let's just take Gainesville as a great example. The median sales price from the previous month took a sharp dive. And I am going to share with you another graphic that I think really kind of helps explain the difference or what that means when we talk about median sales price. So let me figure out how to get, okay. So how median price works. And I thought this was a really great graphic, and it kind of like clicked and made sense for me. And I was like, oh, this is a really great, easy way to explain it. So the median sales price has taken the middle value of all homes that have sold. So if you look at that top scenario, we have, let's just, pretend that homes are selling for a nickel, 10 cents, and 10 cents. So 3 homes sold, the exact middle is 10 cents. And then if you look at the second scenario, if that in that same town in a given month, let's say you had 3 homes that sold, one was 5 cents, 5 cents, and 10 cents, the median sales price is 5 cents. Now, if you looked at the previous month and saw that the median sales price was 10 cents and then it went to 5 cents, you might make the assumption that home prices decreased by half in that month, or the median home price sold. And while technically it did, it doesn't devalue the house. It's just what that middle home sold for, meaning that half of the home sold for more than that price and half of the home sold for less. And so really what we're seeing right now is there are a lot more homes on the lower end of the scale getting sold than there are at the upper end of the scale. And it makes sense because your buying power as a buyer has drastically gone down. So and it's gone down because interest rates have gone up, and we'll take a closer look at that here in a little bit as well. So when we see that the median sales price in Gainesville had gone down, yes, but it's only because we had more or less expensive homes being sold, and it makes sense because that's where a lot more buyers are right now. Michael's joining us from Cape Cod. Thanks for joining us on the live stream tonight. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go back and look at the sales prices of what's going on. So we looked at Gainesville, and that is a popular area that we serve. And let's take a look at Cumming. So Cumming is in Forsyth County. That is another popular area that we serve. And the median sales price of a home in Cumming was $588,000 compared to Gainesville is $375,000. So there's a lot more affordable houses in Gainesville that sold in the month of July than over in Cumming, where all of those are kind of getting pushed to that $600,000 price point. Another popular area that we help clients with is in Alpharetta. And if you look at Alpharetta, their median sales price, $687,000. And let's take a look at Swanee is another great suburb of Atlanta that we serve. Their average sales price was $609,000. So the cost of a home here in the Metro Atlanta area is really kind of inching up there. And if you look at the graph here, I just switched it to the average sales price here. One thing that you'll see, you do not see any kind of like downward trends of homes year over year. If anything, we kind of see a little bit of a flattening happening. So year over year, home prices have appreciated 5.7% in Swanee, 8.3% in Cumming, and then a little bit kind of flat in Alpharetta. And so this is important to know that if you're thinking about making a move to Georgia, depending upon your budget, this is something to really pay close attention to, because living here is not getting any less expensive when it comes to buying a home. We're not seeing home prices decrease in value. Let's look at the town of Brazelton. So that tends to be a little bit more of a more affordable area. And the average sales price in Brazelton last month was $510,000. And that's also kind of flat across the board when you look at what home prices were selling for last year. Now, a good thing that's important to know that if you're thinking about moving to Georgia is how quickly are these homes going to sell? So let's look at days on market. So a days on market is you list a home for sale. How long is it on the market before it actually gets a contract? Now, if we look at the greater Atlanta area, on average, homes are spending 10 days on the market. If you look in Swanee, that is 7 days, and Brazelton has 13 days. Alpharetta has 6 days on the market. So I'm going to go back to look at Cumming because we help quite a bit of people from Cumming, and Cumming is 6 days on the market. So this means that inventory is moving pretty darn quickly here. And, if you look at pre-pandemic days on market, heck, you're looking at 15, 20, 30 days being on the market before a home would get a contract. And so what this means is that if you see a house that you're interested in, likely in a couple of days, it's going to be gone. So you are going to have to make a quick decision if you are thinking about purchasing a home here in the metro Atlanta area. There's not a whole lot of time to think about it. And the reason that there's not a whole lot of time to think about it, and something that you need to know if you're thinking about moving to Georgia, is we need to have a really good conversation about the inventory. And this is a large part of why home prices are holding so steady here. So let's dig back into this data and let's look at the number of homes for sale. So this is comparing this year's numbers, or what it was in July of 2023 compared to July of 2022. And if you'll see that in Swanee, we have 50% less inventory in the month of July than we did the July before. Cumming is down 41%, almost 42%, and Alpharetta is down 20%. I feel this every single day working with great clients like you, and that is because you want to go buy a house and it's like, great, here's what we're looking for. Let's go out and see all the homes are available. And sometimes, y'all, there's just not that many homes for us to go see because inventory is so tight. And one of the reasons that inventory is so low has to do with the interest rates. So a lot of normal sellers that would sell in a normal market, they're deciding like, hey, I don't want to sell my home right now and go out and take a 7.25% interest rate when I refinanced and I have like a 3.5% interest rate on my house. Why would I want to double my interest rate? So a lot of would-be sellers, they're holding tight. Even if they can make a lot of money on the sale of their home, they're deciding not to sell. And this is not a problem that we're having just here in the North Metro Atlanta area. We are seeing this across the country kind of play out when it comes to home prices. So if we go back and look at this is coming from the National Association of Realtors, some data that they pulled. And you see there that the active listings in July compared to the last normal years, and you got to think it's been almost 4 years since we've had a normal real estate market. We're going all the way back to 2019. In 2019, there was 1.24 million houses for sale, and we had half of that inventory available for sale across the country. So it's not just in the metro Atlanta area. We're seeing this play out nationally. So that is definitely something that you need to know. Timothy, you are, I saw your comment on a video recently, and it looks like you went under contract on a house in Marietta. Congratulations. And why didn't you use me? We would have loved to have helped you with that purchase. But I'm so happy for you, and you are going to love Georgia. And so I'm happy for you being here. So if you have any questions about making a move, please drop those in the comments and let's talk about them and make sure that we get your questions answered. Charles, you hit the nail on the head. We are in a housing gridlock right now. And so a lot of clients will have the conversation with me as, well, I'm just going to wait this out. Interest rates are supposed to get better next year, and I'm going to wait until then. And yes, that is true, but we have to solve this housing gridlock. We have to have more inventory come on the market to settle all of this demand. And there is huge demand for buying a house right now. So I think, yeah, here's this graphic kind of shows buyer traffic is stronger than the normal years. So we have all of these people that want to buy a house. We have way more demand and half of the inventory. And so that is what's causing and creating this upward pressure on prices and why home prices are not coming down. And whenever interest rates come down a little bit more, y'all, it's just going to cause more buyer traffic. And we need something to solve that inventory problem, as Charles said. And there's nothing on the horizon that's going to cause a flood of inventory to come on the market. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Minnie is joining us. So thanks for joining us, Minnie. Timothy, you have family of realtors. That is definitely understandable. I could not imagine if one of my family members decided to use someone else, especially when they have such a great resource. So I know that you are in really, really great hands, but we have helped quite a few clients, a lot of clients from California. So I think I remember that's where you're from. And I know that you are definitely going to love it. So I'm so happy that you're making your way out here to Georgia. So welcome. But yeah, so inventory is incredibly low, and that is what is causing prices to hold steady and to continually rise. Now, I'm going to go back and show you some local data, and this is very important for you to know. If you're thinking about making a move, here's kind of like what you can expect in the negotiation process. So let's go back to this screen here, and I did something on the back end. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on. I messed this up. Hold up. Sorry, y'all. Okay, let me get this back. Okay. All right. What I wanted to show you is what homes actually sell for and their percentage to the original list price. So this is important. So sometimes we see home prices come down. So let's say someone lists a house for 500 and they don't get any offers on it. So a week or two later, the agent will bump the price down to, let's say, 480, and then it sells. This is actually showing us the data of what homes are selling for compared to the original list price before any price reductions. And look at this. We are looking at 100% on average of sales to list price ratio. And this is in Greater Atlanta, and Swanee, Cumming, and Alpharetta. Let's see here. I think when I looked at Gainesville earlier, that was a little bit less. Yeah, so that one is at 98%. So what this means is that if you have a $500,000 house in Gainesville, if you're selling it, you can expect to sell it for 98% on average of that 500,000, meaning that you can offer 490 on it and it's likely going to get accepted. So there's usually only 2% wiggle room there to get a discount on that house. Now, that's not the case 100% across the board. Of course, if a home has been on the market for a while, it's overpriced, they're not getting offers, that's not always the rule. But, and it's definitely on a case by case basis, but this is something to know. So even if a home has been on the market for a while, and you know that in Gainesville, the average sales price to list price is about 98%, if you go in and offer 80% of list price, then you know that that's likely very, very, very unrealistic. And the seller is going to say, hey, go kick rocks. So this is just important data for you to know and important conversations for us to have if you are thinking about making a move so that we know what is realistic and what we can get for you whenever we are negotiating on home prices. So I actually, surprisingly, just lost a client this week because they drastically wanted to offer a lot less on a house. And the conversation that I had with them was, hey, I will be happy to write this offer and present it. Let's just have a side conversation and know that this was likely very unrealistic, and let's see what they come back with. And they're likely going to counter us. And my buyer did not like that conversation. And so they decided that they would be better served with another agent. And, it's my job to give you some very good, kind of honest information of what's going on and then let you make that decision of what you want to do. It's my job as your agent to act on your behalf. So, of course, if you want to make lower offers, that is something that can be done. But I also need to realistically tell you, hey, we're likely not going to get you a house under contract if this is going to be our strategy on every single house. So that is important to know. Oh, this is a really great point. This viewer asked, what if you have cash? Now, this is a really good opportunity. Sometimes a seller is open to taking a little bit less on their house because cash is king. With a cash offer, you don't have to worry about an appraisal. You don't have to worry about the buyer's loan falling through. You don't have to worry about the buyer losing their job. There's a lot of security and safety that comes with a cash offer. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of take in the whole scenario into account whenever you're making that strategic offer. So one thing we are experiencing right now in the metro Atlanta area is for houses that are priced right and they're in good condition, they photograph well, and they're staged really well, those homes are getting a lot of traffic. And it is not uncommon right now for some of these homes to get 10 and 15 offers or even 5 offers and have a multiple offer situation. So in a multiple offer situation, all things being equal, a seller is always going to accept that cash offer. I say always, almost all the time over a financed offer because they have that peace of mind and security. Now, if it's just 2 offers or there's no offers and it's, below market value, but still kind of close to it, then, the seller usually is willing to accept that cash offer faster than what they would a financed offer. So long way to say it all depends. And you have some advantages with having that cash. And sometimes it does save you quite a bit of money. Now, Minnie says that she plans to purchase in cash as well. So, you definitely have some advantages. And if you're really looking for a deal in this market, the deals are found by looking for the homes that have been on the market for a little bit. And what is a little bit? A little bit is 20 plus days. So, and likely if they've been on the market for that 20 plus days, there's a reason why it's been on the market for 20 plus days. Either one, the agent has overpriced the home. The second reason is the seller didn't listen to their agent and the seller's unrealistic about their price and kind of have to wait that out and let the seller kind of come to reality of what their home should be priced. The other common thing that we see is that bad photos, y'all would not imagine or believe. I'm sure you do, right? Because you look at houses all the time online and you see these terrible photos that have been taken with iPhones and just as an agent taking their own photos. And so those homes usually don't sell very quickly because you're seeing other more pretty homes out there. And then sometimes you just see also crazy colors. And we recently showed a house to some clients this week, and not only were the photos bad, but the house was incredibly cluttered. You could see the dog bowls out and just stuff all over the home. And I can guarantee you that if that house would have been decluttered, had better pictures, it would have sold by now. So, and the other thing is that, something could be wrong with the house. Maybe it backs up to a really busy road. Maybe there's mold in the basement that people are seeing whenever they go to the house. So there's a lot of different reasons. And usually, though, what I find is that the reasons are very easily overcome, or they're cosmetic things that you could easily fix if you had the ability to kind of look past it. And there's a lot of buyers right now that just want strictly move-in ready houses and they don't want to do anything. And they're willing to pay a premium for those houses. But you can find some good deals out there. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Citizen PM said some of the houses on Redfin look like they're haunted. So I'll have to tell you a funny story. I have a team, and one of my great agent partners was showing a house to a client virtually. So we do, we work with a lot of clients who sometimes they can come in for their viewings and see houses. And sometimes we go and take virtual tours and recorded videos of houses. And she went to a house that we don't often get this feeling as real estate agents because we see so many houses. But, sometimes you just go into a house and you feel that like, uh-oh feeling, or you feel like something's not quite right with this house. Um, she called me after doing that virtual tour and said that she could not run fast enough out of this house because she just felt like the basement was so creepy. And, I really kind of trust our instinct here when we feel that. And I think I've only felt that like in one or two houses before where it felt really off. But I had to tell the client that I'm like, hey, just giving you a heads up. Uh, my agent felt that something was off in this house and just wanted to pass along that information because I know that y'all are counting on us to be your eyes and ears on the ground. And if we're getting kind of like a creepy feeling, we need to tell you that. So I think you would be upset with me if you bought a house and you're like, you didn't tell me that this house was haunted. Morris Venture says, I'm having a hard time selling my house because I have a stalker who is my neighbor who blasts the music super loud if you have company. Well, that's crazy. I wonder if you can incentivize them with money. So anytime you have a showing, they don't do that. I think I would try to throw money at that problem. Jay Acosta asked, what is the process from buying out of state? I got 20% good credit and a decent income. So I love that you asked that question, and because it's so important. So the first most important thing that you need to know is that if you're financing, the lender is going to want to know, like, what is your job situation? And so if you're relocating from out of state, we know that you have employment from wherever you're moving from, but how are you going to get paid here in Georgia? So they want to know, can you work remote? And if you can, the lender will need a letter from the lender. No, the lender will need a letter from your employer stating that you can work remotely and you're going to continue to get paid the same thing. Or you need employment here in Georgia. And so employment in Georgia, that can also just mean that you've interviewed for a job and they've made you a job offer and there's something from their HR department saying, here's your start date and here's how much you're going to work, and that's verifiable. So if you have the income part taken care of or the job part, a lot of clients that we work with are working remotely so they can work wherever. Then it just becomes, hey, let's get you approved with the lender and let's go out and find you the right house. Now, I strongly encourage you to make a visit here to Georgia and scope out the area of where you want to be. I know that I make great videos and I educate you really well, but there's nothing like being here in person and getting a feel for the area. Sometimes we work with clients and you just simply can't make it to the area. And that's okay. We've helped plenty of you just like that before. But given the choice, I would love for you to come and visit. It also just makes that house hunting process a lot easier because if you have potentially 4 areas that you are open to moving to and you come here in person, usually you're going to eliminate some of those just because of what you like whenever you drive around. So we want to get really specific about where you want to be. If you can come out for a house hunting trip and we can get a home under contract for you during that visit, fantastic. Sometimes though, we have clients that come out and they come out with the intention of finding a home, but for whatever reason that weekend, we don't get a home. And so then it becomes, okay, well, we have a really good idea of what we're looking for. Let's go find it. And when the perfect home hits the market, call us and we're going to go out and do a really great virtual tour for you of that house, send you that video. And if it's something that you still love just as much from that video, we have some tricks up our sleeve of how you can get that home under contract. And then we strongly encourage you to come out during your due diligence period of your contract. And so here in Georgia, during the due diligence time period, that's typically when you would have your home inspected and you are able to terminate on that contract for any reason during that time period. So if you get out here and you see it in person and you don't love it as much as what you did in the video, you can terminate without penalty. You've essentially, the only downside to that is that you kind of wasted a little bit of time in a trip out here, but knock on wood, I've got this camera set up on an old bar stool. So there's a wooden stool here underneath. Knock on wood, we have not had someone that we've had a home under contract where they've flown out to see it in person where they have not still really loved it. And I attribute that to our really great skills at taking really great, honest virtual tours for you. So that is a way of how you can get a home under contract and visit without actually being here in person. But obviously the ideal way is for you to actually be here. Minnie ask the question of, how about buying a new construction home without HOA? Is that possible? Um, it is possible. You just have to be open to where you're going to be, Minnie. So, one of my favorite towns, and we're going to make a video on this because I keep talking about it. So we have plans to shoot some footage tomorrow for you. That is in the town of Monroe, Georgia. It is 30 minutes south of Athens, about an hour and 15 minutes east of downtown Atlanta. Great town. There's lots of great new construction options there. You get like an acre to 2 acres worth of land, and there's a lot of builders building out there without HOAs. So that is a really popular area. But yes, there are also other areas where you can find homes not in an HOA. You just have to be okay with knowing that you're going to be on the side of the road, likely. So, you're not in an actual neighborhood if it's new construction. Usually it's a builder that has bought several acres of land kind of off the side of a side road, and they have built, 4 or 5 houses there. So lots of different options. We just have to kind of talk a little bit more about what exactly you're looking for, but it can be done. Oh, okay, great. Yep, Jay has been here. He's visited. You've gotten boots on the ground. You know what you're looking for. So that is fantastic news. Citizen PM asked, kind of goes to my question. I have a full-time remote job, but I haven't been working there for a full year, but I also have plans on extending some of my independent contracting work to Georgia. That is a great question. It sounds like you might be an independent contractor, or so as long as you've been doing that job or jobs very, very similar to that with the history, usually a lender can piece that together and make it work out. So I have some fantastic lenders to partner you with that are super creative and can not just see things in black and white. So I would love to connect you with them and see if that might be a good fit, or kind of really learn exactly what they need to see in order to make that work. And so usually you can figure that out and make it work. So good question. If you're self-employed and you're making a move to Georgia and your employment was based upon a location, so let's just take my job as a real estate agent. If I decided to pick up and move to, where would I move? Texas. I would not move to Texas, but just picking out Texas. If I were to pick up and move to Texas, the lender is going to say, hey, but all of your business is based out here in Georgia. It's going to take you a while to establish employment and income in Texas. We can't really count that income. So if you have a spouse, that really helps a lot that has a steady job. So that is something to keep in mind. Alex recently relocated here from Florida. Something that you learned was meeting the seller when, I'm so glad you brought this up. Meeting the seller when signing final papers. It was a first and it was weird. So I have only sold real estate here in Georgia. And in Georgia, we have one closing. So when you as a buyer come to sign your paperwork and do all of the lender documents, we do that at a closing attorney's office. And you do that with the seller. All the parties are in one room together. The sellers are signing their documents while the buyer is signing their documents. I didn't realize that the rest of the country, or some states, don't do it this way. Other states have split closings where the buyer meets with the title company at one time and then the seller meets with the title company at another time. And I've heard some confused questions from clients that we've helped, not knowing that this was how it was going to be. So now I've learned my lesson to prepare y'all. And here's the good and bad thing about it. If it's been a contentious contract, sometimes we can request like, hey, we really don't want to sit across the table from the seller, so we're going to do a split closing. You can do that. But a lot of times there's so much great value from sitting across the table from the seller and whenever you're purchasing that new house, because you get all kinds of great information. Usually they're like, hey, one thing you need to know, at Christmas time, if you want to plug in your Christmas lights, I installed a special outlet up there in the corner, and then there's a light switch in the hall closet that operates that. And you're like, wow, we never would have been able to figure that out had we not have gotten that information firsthand. You also get really great information about neighbors. They are fantastic about spilling the beans on your neighbors or your new neighbors. And they'll say, oh, Judy next door, she's the HOA president. She's going to take care of you. or, you just get so much like great insider information. And then they also just kind of give you the opportunity to ask questions about the house as well, and ask about how does the alarm system work, and all of those things that you would want to know. Alex said that the seller was also there during the final walkthrough. That's a little strange. Usually, whenever we are heading to the closing table and we're signing all the paperwork, the seller is usually typically like out of the house, unless she did like a temporary occupancy. But that's neither here nor there. It is here or there. But there are times when that does happen. So, but it is a little strange. So I also find it so strange when sellers are at home showings. So we recently had some clients that were in town, and the first showing, we did a video tour. And in that video tour, we were kind of surprised because the seller was there at the house. And it's never, if you're selling your house, if you're watching and you're selling your house, leave your house and let the buyer come in, take their time, look around, make comments, envisioning themselves there. They can't do that if you're at your house. So leave your house. It's an uncomfortable, awkward situation because you can't say what you want to say. So what we wanted to say in that virtual tour was, this house kind of stinks and there's a smell here and an odor that doesn't smell good. But we couldn't say that because the seller was right there. So whenever my clients were now in town and they were going to look at it today, I had to tell the agent, I'm like, hey, can you make sure that your seller is not there whenever we come? We would really like to do that showing without the seller. Now, it's incredibly rare. This maybe happens like 1 out of every 25 showings that we do, but it does come up, and I just got off on a soapbox tangent there. Is it normal to throw holy water at neighbors in Georgia? I may need to do that to my next door neighbors and say, go away. You know what? Yeah. Say your prayers, plant your St. Francis, whatever you need to do, whatever helps you sell your house, right? So to each their own. And sometimes you have to deal with some bad neighbors. But you're asking, is that really happen? It doesn't happen that often. We just don't have very many Catholic denomination. I don't know how you say that. Catholics. We just don't have very many Catholics here, and I'm, holy water Catholic, St. Francis. But you can do whatever you want here in Georgia. People aren't going to say anything. Frank, suggestion on buying lots versus homes on Lanier. I don't mind having a dock since no new permits are allowed, but I like the idea of building a home with direct access to the lake. So, great question. So one thing that you need to be careful of whenever you're looking at lots on the lake is that typically there's a reason why it has not been bought yet. So that could just be like, hey, it's the first time this seller's ever put the home on the market or the lot on the market, and it's just been in the family for years, and they finally decided, like, we thought we were going to build, we just never got around to it. That could be the case. Sometimes, though, you'll look at the history of a piece of property or a lot, and you'll see that, man, this seller's been trying to sell this lot for years, and it's been on and off the market at different prices. There's some special things that you want to ask and really do your research on whenever you are looking at buying a lot on the lake. And that is, has a soil test been done? What is needed for a septic permit? Sometimes the soil that's there is not very conducive to a septic system. So you might need a specialized septic system. So that adds to the cost of building a house. A lot of times the land is sloped in such a way that it would require an expensive retaining wall that adds significantly to a building cost. And so those are some reasons sometimes why a lot is less attractive and why it hasn't sold, because it may cost someone an extra $50,000 to $75,000 even before they think about building the house, just to get the foundation pieces or the septic system that's needed to have a livable home there. So those are some things that we would want to do some extra research and preparation. But yes, it is a nice idea to, kind of build a home from scratch. And there's lots of people that build some fantastic houses here on the lake. Alex said, Most Florida homes have sprinklers. Georgia homes usually don't. That is a good point. Learned about watersheds, and it's common to have spongy backyards, and it's not FEMA related. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. We get so many calls, which I guess I get it. You're coming from Florida, there's flood zones. Even Louisiana, there's a lot of flooding there. It's incredibly rare to experience any type of flooding here in Georgia. You would need to have like a creek in your backyard or live on the river in order to kind of like be in a flood zone. Especially here in the North Metro Atlanta area, there's so much elevation to our land. Even if it looks flat, you're still, you're never going to be in a flood zone. And I think it's Redfin displays sometimes where homes are in a flood zone. And I get calls from clients with like, oh, we decided not to see that home because it's in a flood zone. And I'm like, that's not right. There's no way possible that home's in a flood zone. So, yeah, no flood zones. We don't have that many sprinklers. And the reason is that once your grass is established, you don't really have to water it here. We get plenty of rainfall all throughout the year that's just something that you don't need to spend your money on or waste water on. So we don't have that many sprinklers. And then, of course, yes, when we get periods of heavy, heavy rain, it's not uncommon for the ground to get a little bit mushy or soggy. So yeah, those are great points, Alex. And I'm glad you shared that because growing up here in Georgia all my life, there's things that I think are surprising that are different to people from other states. So we often get clients, a lot of clients that we help from California are very surprised at our thunderstorms that we have here and how often we have them and how loud they are and how it's just an everyday thing. Not every day, but especially here in the summer months, it happens quite a bit. And it's not like an event. It's just like, oh, it's thundering again. Whereas I saw a post on a Facebook group where someone said, hey, we just moved here and saw that there was going to be thunderstorms this afternoon. Do we need to have like all of our candles and all of our things prepared for it? And people were like, no, it's just an everyday thing that happens here. So, eventually you kind of get used to it. 1818 says, Georgia will soon be flooded with people that help cause the problems they are trying to get away from. Well, we do have quite a bit of people moving here, and I say, welcome, y'all. No, it is a great place to live, and we do have a lot of great things. Yeah, you said that. Sorry, I'm just reading your other comment. You would not handle all the questions asked from people who live here all their lives. I think I would. Sounds like you might be local. So go ahead, ask away. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have. Alex says, robber flies, look them up, Floridians. So you're saying there's robber, I don't know if maybe I can't answer all the questions from people here because I don't know that I know what a robber fly is. I do know what a Joro spider is. And I was doing a virtual tour yesterday for someone, and I came this close to running into a Joro spider. And I know that if you just moved here, Alex, especially right now, you've experienced a Joro spider. And that is something that is an invasive species here in Georgia. It's brand new-ish. It's been here like 2 years. And there are these massive spiders that build these big webs, and you can like knock them down. And then the next day they're right back up because they're busy little bees. Thank goodness, though, they do not bite. But they are a nuisance right now. And I came so close into walking into one because I'm just, on my phone doing my thing, and you're looking here, not here. And anyways, let me show you what a Joro spider looks like. Let me see if I can pop that up real quick because I think it's important for y'all to know how big this spider is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me go back and share my screen. Okay, figuring out how to do this. It's not my first rodeo, but I'm acting like it's my first rodeo. Here we go. This is a Joro spider, and they are neon yellow. They're big. They make these big old webs. They're very nasty looking. So could you imagine like walking into that? No, thank you. I did not like that. All right. So if you have any other questions about making a move to Georgia, make sure that you answer that. I wanted to get to One last thing, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, and that is bidding wars. So even though interest rates have caused upward pricing on homes and some buyers have left the market, there's still, pretty strong demand for houses here. The buyer traffic is just kind of insane compared to the amount of inventory that we have. And so in the right scenarios, we're still seeing a bidding war happen. And if it's a great house, don't be surprised or caught off guard if you're not the only one that wants that house. So whenever I meet with clients and we kind of talk about exactly what they're looking for, their time frame, their budget, we're going to have a really great strategy session where I'm going to share some like very specific data with you and talk about what's our plan to get a home under contract and what are we comfortable with doing and what do we don't feel comfortable doing. And so those are things that we'll talk about up front before we go out and make offers on homes. That way we have a really good understanding of what to expect and what you're good with. So that is something to know. All right. Are these spiders common in Gainesville? Unfortunately, they're common in all of North Metro Atlanta area. They're not really like in middle Georgia yet. Somehow they've come over on shipping containers. They've been here for a couple of years. The good thing is that they don't stay around year long. They show up for a couple of months right about now. And September, they'll be here. Like I said, they don't bite. They're just more of a nuisance. So you can just like knock them down and stomp on them and kill them. And their friend will be right there the next day. So I will say, though, they have not been as bad this year as what they have been the previous 2 years. So something's working to maybe kill them or ease that up. Bidding wars sound awful. The housing market has really went haywire in the last 4 years. Yes. And I'm going to tell you that if you have the ability to buy now versus later, I think bidding wars are for sure going to be back in full swing next year or at the first sign of interest rates coming down, because all of these people that have been waiting for something to happen, they're going to come out to the market and they're like, yes, now's my time. Interest rates have come down. Let's go buy a house. Well, you and all your brothers and your sisters and your cousins want to do that same thing, as we kind of say here in Georgia. And it's going to cause all those people to want the same houses, and it's going to cause bidding war situations again and cause home prices to go up even further. So the money that you're saving on interest rate, you're going to be paying more for a house because you're going to have to pay over asking price to get a home under contract. So the good thing is that if you have the ability to, you can go ahead and buy now, and we can always help you refinance and take advantage of that lower rate in the future. But I understand not everyone has the ability or luxury of time or doing things exactly when they want. We work with all kinds of folks that are, waiting on certain life events to happen, or you got to sell houses or do other things first before you can get here. And that's completely okay. And like you said, won't be able to do it till July of 2024, but you're going to have cash. So you're going to be in a good situation. A lot of people will still be in a situation where they have to finance. So you'll have that kind of leg up on that as well. So, all right. So thank you so much for joining us tonight on the live stream. I've so enjoyed getting a chance to answer all of your questions and have a really great conversation with you. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, that sign up link is directly below this video. Go ahead and sign up for that. We're going to send you some information, kind of keep you in the know of what's going on and cool things that are happening and opening here in the North Metro Atlanta area. And so we'd love to keep in touch with you. And of course, if you're thinking about making a move, I want to be your real estate agent. So you can reach out to me. My contact information is below. We post videos every single Sunday, talking about different areas and showing you different homes. So make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. So catch our video coming out this Sunday, and I will see you next week here on the live stream, answering your questions again. So come back and join me, and we'll continue this conversation. And I will see y'all next week.